Alright, so to the friends, holy shit, I'm loud. To the friends that are here in Twitch, we've got just about, I don't know, 5 minutes. Firing up Eve. I was running around the house doing other things. Would have liked to have been here a few minutes earlier. I'm going to ping the shit out of people in the HiSec Corp. Anybody online right now in the HiSec Corp should be here. So let me do that. Announcements. At here now. At everyone. At everyone. 5 minutes. No, 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Yay! More people. Woo! Why do I not have access? Hey Van, do I not have access to ping HiSec announcements? It's so long. It's like forever and a half long. Yay! Oh, good. HiSec. All line member. Cool. All right, I'm gonna pull up stream chat because stream chat boys, what's up? We are going to get everything set up here. I see people in court meetings. I like this. I like having people here. Sweet. Yeah, twitch.tv there. And Discord or Twitch. Yeah, you guys are pinging it. Fantastic. Thank you all for showing up. We're gonna get started here in just a minute or two. Just so we can get everybody. I'm currently logged in the HiSec Corp as Clove, my HiSec alt. Hello. This is just going to be a tiny little fleet, if you can even call it a fleet, because we're not going to be doing much other than spinning ships. I'm going to be doing some resource sharing, as in like different spreadsheets, where you can find certain things, all that kind of stuff today. Let me pull up my notes so I can actually tell you what I'm going to be doing today. I have too many things. Is this one it? No. This one it? Yes. There we go. Pull it up on my phone as well. Alright, so those of you who, yes, this will be recorded. For my friends who, I know we have a couple hearing impaired people who joined Corp, and I've been trying to get subtitles, but I am not smart enough. So subtitles, stream chat. Let me put. Actually, stream chat will be up in the main thing. Yes, questions will be able to be asked either in the Corp meetings, in the Discord, or you can throw them up in Corp meeting at the end. I'll have a open mic kind of area. Ooh, all of the pings on my phone too. All right, there we go. HiSec Q&A. pulling stuff up, making sure everything's good. Want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. Got to do all the different things. I'm going to start here in just a moment, folks. Give me 1 second. Drop my notes there. All right. And pull up the proper notes list. Damn it, Marie, you have too many tabs. All right. Welcome, everybody. You cannot redock, no, after instantly locking someone. You have a red timer. Let me... Yep, I do stream my Cheetah runs if you ever wanted to do that, to come and hang out. Currently, Clove is in Pisma and Marie is in Cheetah, just hanging out. So, it is 4:02. Hi, Stream Chat. Hi, Corp Chat. I'm assuming most of Stream Chat is going to be the Brave guys, not IMM. So welcome, Brave dudes, if you are from there. So today, what we're going to be covering, this is going to be a welcome meeting for everybody, new and old. We're going to be going over who we are as leadership. What are the different stations? What do they do? Where can you dock? What does what? We're going to give out some info for making money and stuff like that. We're going to drop some helpful resources for you because I know when you hop into game, it's a bit kind of crazy. And then we're going to open up the floor for questions at the very end if I didn't answer your questions already. So we're going to start. I see leadership-wise, I see Van, I see Knight, and I see Kanishi. So leadership-wise, we are your different leadership. I am the task head for HR, so I do most of the recruiting. I handle the recruiting stuff. I run stuff like this, helpful stuff. And in the future, we're hoping to bring both high sec and low sec or null sec closer together as one big corp rather than it kind of feels like two separate corps right now. So we're going to try and bring everybody together and make sure that we're all on the same page as far as things go. Like I said, I am the task lead for HR. Kanishi, I'll let you go ahead and take the floor. Introduce yourself. Awesome. Next up, I think we'll go with Knight. I see you. If you wanted to say anything. Yep. Hey, Bullrick, it says you said you couldn't hear him. Let me turn off the music or turn it way down. So, actually, Kanishi, if you could say something, please. get this. Fix and output settings. Hey, Twitch chat, if you could, throw up an X if you can hear people when they're speaking other than me. Just want to make sure that everybody can hear the information that's going to go out. I will be the primary person talking today, but for questions it will be useful. Oh, so you can hear everybody else? Sweet! Awesome. Yep. I don't know what the delay on the Twitch chat is, so we're just going to assume everybody can hear. And we are going to... You should already be capturing a game. About 10 seconds? Okay, sweet. There we are. Hi, hello. I am Marie. I am your task head for HR, and Van, I see you down there. If you wanted to introduce yourself before we continue. Alright, sounds like people are having a hard time hearing you guys, so let's make sure we're putting that audio out to the right area. Stream checks,
Awful duty.
Yeah, okay. Kanishi, you want to say something real quick? Just,
yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, now I can see you.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
just making
perfect.
sure that people can hear everybody. There we go. Awesome. So, also Van knows a lot. Van and Knight both know a lot about abyssals. Abyssals are the main money-making things around. Or they're one of the big ones, but we'll get into that later. All right, first up on the docket for today, we're going to be covering, we've already covered who we are as leadership. We are just generally everywhere. I'm reachable at any time. I know stuff about the game as well. So if you have any questions and you don't feel like pinging Knight because you're like, I don't want to go to the big guns first, feel free to ping me. I have plenty of people doing it already. And first thing for the night, stations. Different types of stations around. So I'm going to undock real quick. And we're going to show you what the different things are. I'm not super familiar with all of the stations, but I can essentially give you a good idea of what does what in the basics. So, everybody knows, if you've been playing for longer than a couple hours, that we have jump gates. Jump gates just let you get from one area to the next. In the map, they change the distance. If it's a long distance, it has a dotted line, kind of like what's one that has a dotted line? I think it's Pisma to something. No, NTAC 7 to IRE. That's a long jump, quote unquote. It's a long jump, supposedly. We have the Athenors. Those are outside of moons. They essentially just pull chunks of moon, and eventually those chunks of moon pop and we can go mine them. You can store just about anything in there, but they're kind of out of the way. To territorial claim units, as far as high signal set goes, you don't really need to know much about that. Same with the infrastructure hubs. Those are mainly just to increase ADMs, or help increase ADMs. Observatories, I believe those let you look at stuff, but they're just there.
The observatories are combat sites, I believe.
Yeah. Then we'll go to Astor Houses. They're just a place you can dock. That I think once upon a time we used them, but now we just don't. Night, correct me if I'm wrong. Tartarus for refining. They're really good at that. If you're gonna refine anything, do it in a Tartara. The Ritarus? I can never say that right.
Rizar, you're good there.
Okay.
Mind if I jump in real quick about
go for it.
So going back a little bit, the Stargates, the reason for the longer jumps is because you're changing. They're called regional gates, even though it's still within a region. It's essentially the differences jumping between constellations. So it means that there's a longer distance. Athenors, like he said, you have your moons for moon pulling. You can reprocess in them, and you can dock anything under a capital. Jump freighters and freighters can dock. Next, we have the Tatara, which anything under a capital plus Rorquals can dock in. They function the exact same as an Athenor. They're just better for reprocessing. Then there's the Astor House, which is anything that is under capital size. Jump freighters still included. The Astor House will be where you will, if there is one, will be where you have your clone bank. Up next to the Astor House, up a size, is the Fortizar, which will have either the market or, once again, a clone bank. This is where, for the most part, you will dock all of your capitals, unless you are in the Keepstar, which is essentially there's one per area per alliance. So if you're in the Nullsec, there's one in Pisma. We have one in GE. That's where your super capitals and Titans are docking. Now, most of you won't have those, but for the long run, when you guys get to that far, that's where you end up going for your super capital. And I'll let you take back over there, Marie.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Then we have the Sodios, which are just research, pretty much. Research and making ships. So, that's your kind of list over there. The Keepstars look like a little castle wall segment. Tartarus look like an upside down pyramid, and Astor Houses look like, I don't even know what that is. Kind of looks like a box with a line into it. If you didn't see the type over here. If you don't have one already, I would suggest getting something like the ZTAC-S overview. You can find that in the MOTD, I believe, for Corp. Also, used to be Corp. I don't know if it's in HiSec Corp. Might need to add that. Yeah, we don't have ZTAC-S overview, but you have access to that. It's one of the better overviews. I use a version of Knights. It's pretty much the same that I like. Alright, whose can we use as far as stations and places to dock? Pretty much, you can dock anywhere in Ketch and anywhere in Impasse. I'm not sure about Esoteria and Paragon Soul. If we can, I think most of this is test space, so we can. And some of the stations in Quarius if they belong to Brave or Test or Fraternity. One of the big names, essentially. Outside of who's dark blue to us, PanFam, I've been able to dock in their stuff before, but they have more control over who you can dock and who you can't. But yeah, that's one of the big things is whose you can use. Anyone in Nullsec that is Brave or Test or PanFam or us. I don't think we have stuff outside of UTech-H and PZMA. Anyways, all right. Next up on the list, we have just general info. So for a lot of you guys, HiSec and returning Nullsec bros, what does Nullsec look like? Nullsec has a lot of dangers, but it has a lot of benefits. One of the big benefits is you can make a lot of money. There are plenty of options for you to be able to do so with ratting sites, mining null ores, mining ice. Ice is found in HiSec too, but generally it's easier to do it in nullsec for reasons that I'll get into a little bit later. The other nice part about nullsec is you know exactly who your enemies are. Because in HiSec and lowsec, you don't have reds, or you'll have reds, but everybody's neutral to you. In nullsec, if they're neutral, 99.9% of the time they are there to not help you. They're there to harm or do something of the sort. It's easy to know who your friends are because they'll all show up as blue or purple if you're in fleet. I'm sitting right outside, so I should be in fleet, but I'm not going to be jumping anywhere yet. Dangers are that anyone can kill you. Concord will not come. If somebody locks you and you weren't paying attention, chances are if you're flying something small, you will die. It's the unfortunate reality of null. On the flip side of that, if you're smart about it, you can be making a lot of money to offset that couple times that you get caught and get disrupted a little bit. I know personally I've lost, I don't know, close to 200-300 mil in ships in nullsec, but you make it back so fast by doing different things that it can help offset. So essentially, null is scary, yes, it is very dangerous, especially during wartime. A lot of times we have goon squads coming through, just catching anything that they can, and it's not fun to get caught, because you lose ships, and EVE is one of those games of, when you lose something, you lose actual invested time. It's not just a, hey, I get to respawn, it's a, hey, I just lost a ship, and now I have to go farm for it again. So the general rule in EVE, and especially in Null, is if you can't afford to lose it, don't fly it. Within the caveat of, there's a few caveats, but the general rule is if you can't afford to lose it, don't fly it. This was actually included in the notes because it's a good thing to know about HiSec and why big corps like to sit in nullsec. Outside of the money, outside of the control, the direct sovereignty, it's harder to secure HiSec. Yes, you have Concord. Yes, you have lower you have lower amounts of things, but you have Concord to always be there. The problem with this is if you have enemies in HiSec, they can suicide you. They know that if they attack you, Concord's going to be there very, very quickly. Chances are they're going to have the DPS to kill you if they target you. And while that may sound counterintuitive, for them it's content. The big thing about EVE, if you didn't know already, was content. After a certain point in the game, you have everything you want for the moment. And PvPers, like in HiSec, just go out and blow stuff up because they can. Once you're in the nullsec corp, or in a nullsec corp in general, HiSec corps can war deck you. And they can blow up your stuff in HiSec. So, in general, it's hard to control who your friends are and who your friends aren't in HiSec. You can't drop bubbles, you can't just attack people who have bad standing with you, etc. It's easier to do that in nullsec because you know who your friends are. Concord isn't going to come blow you up for blowing somebody with bad standing up. You can drop bubbles and things like that to really secure an area. We'll get into bubbles in a little bit, but if you're curious, they're just things that prevent people from warping away unless you're in an interceptor. The newts problem for HiSec is one of those things where it's like you can tell who your friends are and who your friends aren't, because if they're neutral, they're not your friend. That's essentially it. I'm just kind of running down my list. And now we're going to get into what do I need to be ready for null? Do we have any questions before we continue on? Just tiny, like, itty bitty questions that I can cover before we move on.
And if you do have questions, either post them in the stream on Twitch, or you can go to Court Meetings Discussion in Discord and type X there, and we can unmute you.
So you want to know what's the best place to refine ores? Tartaras. Tartaras are the best places to refine ores. Yeah,
Assuming that they're rigged.
Assuming that they're rigged. You said everyone is gray in high sec. Yes. Unless they are like colored, like blue, red, Vortex, everybody is neutral. So you don't know who your friends and enemies are. Because somebody can just be completely gray and then attack you out of nowhere.
Marie, do you mind if I take the floor for a second?
Go ahead and take the floor. I'm going to step away for just a second. Somebody is knocking on the door, so I'll let you go ahead and take the floor for a little bit.
Perfect. It's not for a long time, though. We've had the question several times, like, does HiSec have a standing fleet? Why can't we blow these guys up? It's kind of the nature of HiSec that we're facing right now. As Marie explained, like, nullsec you can lock completely down and you can shoot anybody that comes in there, basically without any repercussions. The reason why a standing fleet in HiSec doesn't really work is Concord is going to be faster than Concord is going to be faster to kill that person than the standing fleet to start with. Concord in 0.5 where we are respawns in about 17 seconds. The thing is, anybody who's gray or even red for that matter can come and just take pot shots at you, and the only thing that you can do is hopefully there's a warship nearby and they can take them out. But you can't proactively say, like, okay, this guy is red, I'm going to shoot him. Because if for some reason you don't have kill rights on this guy, Concord will come and kill you. That's kind of the whole problem with HiSec and the standing fleet. So it's a shame, but we can't lock it down the way we can nullsec. I know that question came up a lot. Best thing you can do is make sure that you can tank for 17 seconds and Concord will come and solve the problem for you. Now, for a lot of these smaller ships, it's not necessarily the best solution, but it's that, or make sure you're always aligned, make sure you're always ready to run when somebody warps into belt, and just make sure you get out of there, and the power of numbers, and that's where we're pretty decent. It's kind of a numbers game where if there's 10 people in one belt, you got one chance in 10 to get out. I know it sounds, again, terrible, but that's kind of the reality of HiSec where we just can't lock it down. That's kind of what I wanted to add to that. I don't know if Marie's back yet.
No, but I can probably add my own 2 cents in there. Talking about surviving 17 seconds. If you're mining, your best bet would be for the barges is a procurer, because it has the most amount of health when it comes to mining ships. If you're going with an exhumer, your best bet is a skiff. Now, they have less mining than, say, the Hulk and Cover, but they have almost triple the health. And that's before adding mods. So if you want to be able to survive those 17 seconds, then you need to fly a skiff up or a Brock. If you're in a Porpoise or an Orca, unless it's a really big group, you're going to be fine. And usually what we're dealing with in Moro is smaller gangs, no more than five or six guys. Now, let's see, Corp chat. And I'm not seeing stream, so if somebody could answer questions from the stream chat, probably Van, if you're there. I'll keep an eye on the Corp meetings and the HiSec Corp chat. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, we'll just take a little bit while Marie's away.
A complete side note as well is if you're nullsec, don't go AFK just sitting outside like Marie just did. Don't take that as a pointer.
A thing about actually that brings up an interesting point. The thing with citadels is that a lot of the time, unless one, there's no core, or two, it's out of fuel. If you're within, I think, and somebody can correct me from the nullsec if I'm wrong, within 10 kilometers of you, of the station. Sorry, if you are within 10 kilometers of the station, there we go. You gain a tethered, which essentially. Yeah, no. Alana, I was just saying before adding mods, you're about 3 times. But yeah, once you add mods and that kind of stuff, you can tank those things so they could literally. I've had a skiff last for 10 minutes against 3 dudes with like just on my own. But yeah, so if you are on a station, you're invulnerable until you get knocked out of that range, or you lock something. So what'll happen is, say Marie AFK, Ethan will start bumping his ship, so flying into it as fast as he can and knocking him away from the station to get him to that range where he's not tethered anymore. Then he can blow him up for free will.
And I will note that people will do that to you in HiSec as well, because you can accelerate up to something very fast, thwack the Orca, and send it flying 30 kilometers, and Concord doesn't care. So people will do that to harass you, even in high security.
Awesome.
Yeah, and on a side note, going back to introductions, Alana is our kind of general knowledge base. He's our, as we call him, he's our Newbro assistant. So if you have questions about like how stuff is done, where to go, that kind of stuff, he's also your man. He's also one of our primary T2 ship production guys. So he knows stuff about T2 production, invention, reactions, and a lot about moon mining.
Yep, I dabble in a lot of things that don't involve shooting people.
Yeah, he does pretty much anything but
shooting people. I point you to the right person who does more of that.
Ilana's kind of like the I don't shoot people, but I allow you to shoot people because I give you stuff to shoot people.
Yeah, also, if you're in the nullsec and you're just joining us and you need like a venture or something just to get you started and you're coming down with nothing but ISK, Mayhem has free ship handouts. So you'll talk to Alana, for those kinds of things. So we do T1, Tackle, E-War, and Logi frigates. We do ventures for first handouts. I think we're working slowly on trying to get procures up and running, but with the recent org changes, that has taken a little bit of a backseat. And so while we readjust and figure things out. But now, Marie, since you're back, I'll turn the floor back over to you.
Sweet. It sounded like you guys were doing a fantastic job of answering questions that came around and giving out information, so thank you very much for that.
Oh, also, Ethan bumped you off of the station.
I mean, I'm still tethered.
We were telling them about bumping.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that is a thing. Bumping. If you're just gonna be a jerk one day, go bump Papa in the middle of him mining. It's great. I say no more. Alright, and one of the main things about getting ready for null, outside of that, is using Mumble comms. Mumble is super important if you can use it. And sorry about that. And let's go ahead and switch scenes if I can to Mumble. I'm just gonna kind of walk through setting up Mumble as a whole for those of you who need access to it or need to know how to set it up. Open up Mumble. Alright, so let's add this to the scene. I love just having to Do a window capture. Yes, maybe. Wait, no. Come on. You can do it. Display capture. There we go. Can we do it over here?
So while he's setting that up, guys, if you have questions, if you're on the Mayhem Discord, feel free to put them in the corp meeting discussion, and we'll answer them when we get to a question period. If you're on the Twitch, post it there, and I think like maybe Van or something, if it's the Twitch chat starts getting a little bit chaotic, start tossing some of the questions you notice into the Discord. If Van
Yeah, I
is
can do
able
that.
to. Perfect. Thanks, bud.
And Mumble, there we go. Is it actually capturing Mumble? I say capture Mumble. Damn you. Why you no capture Mumble? I love stream chat, or streams. Can I hide this? No. You know, I switched to Streamlabs because it was nice. But this is not nice. I'm trying to stream the desktop. Like, I went from OBS to this, and for whatever reason, it does not want to do anything with it. Why doesn't anything work nice?
Mumble actively tries to hide itself, so you can have it open while doing streaming, which can be great, except when you want to show it.
Can I please? I love and hate. Oh wait, maybe I can do this.
To also, somewhat answer Azure Vanguard's question, there are some I don't remember the channel names in game because I haven't been in them in a while, but there are in-game mining channels that you can reach out to see where people are mining or ratting or anything. Pretty much, the general rule of thumb is don't rat in a system of cloaky campers. Always watch intel. Okay, so the channels are in the corporate messages of the day, so check there, join the channel, and just ask, are there any boosts up? There's usually somebody out boosting somewhere, whether it be in an Orca or Rorqual or Porpoise or whatever. So just reach out and either mumble or in the correct channels in game, and somebody will be able to tell you where to go.
All right. They are definitely, especially if you're in null. They're important when you're in high sec. But they are especially important in null. You are behind the times if you are not in intel channels and you're in null. All right. So we're gonna have like a nice, pretty spaceship background for just a little bit here. All right. So we are currently in Mumble here. And the big thing is for setting up your Whisper key. There is an Eve SSO, which I will, or Eve login on the Brave main page, which I'll cover in a minute. I think I have a new version available too, Van. So let's go and show you how to, the main things that, oh wow, I love when it doesn't even capture this tiny little window right here. So you're going to go to configure. You're going to go to settings, which now I have to change the... I love you, Mumble. There we go. And then you're going to see this window. The main way to set up a Whisper key, or the reason to set up a Whisper key, is so that when you say something in Mumble, you're not yelling to everyone. Saying hello, you'd be saying hello to just about everyone in the entire Mumble channel, usually. So what you do is you go to shortcuts, you would change your whisper shout key. You just push this, change this to whisper shout key. If you don't have one, add the shortcut here. Just hit add. Unassigned, change it to whisper shout. You're going to want to change this to your main push to talk key. So if you have a push to talk key, don't set your push to talk key as that. Set it to your whisper. You're going to go to the little ellipses right here next to data. I'm going to do shout to channel. And then you're going to go down to current channel. This means it's going to talk to your current in Mumble specific channel. So let's say rather than talking to all of Impasse, you're talking to Impasse 2 or Impasse 4, whichever one you're joined in. So change that to current. You can ignore positional audio because Eve doesn't really support that, I don't think. And then hit OK. And then you change your shortcut to whatever your push to talk is. So personally, I have a mouse button. Mouse button 4 is the one I use for my push to talk, and I use the number pad division symbol for my shouts, which if you're doing intel, big fleet stuff, that really comes later, but usually your push to talk is here. Once you do that, just hit apply and hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and remove that one. And we're just going to hit OK. And now we are back to regular Mumble. And the other thing that people see in Mumble is, why can I hear when everybody joins? And when everybody does anything, you hear, user has entered channel. User has left channel. The way you turn that off is you go to configure. And once you hit configure up here, I know you guys can't see the menu, but there's a text-to-speech box right here. Just click that, and it will turn off the text-to-speech. If it's checked, it means it's on. If it's unchecked, that means it is off. Alright, I will show you where to get that. Let me pull up the Brave main page and change the screen capture to it. Display capture. Can we do this? Wow, that is super helpful. There we go. So now we are on the Brave main page with this window, for whatever reason, in front. Why is that there? Gonna close it. There we are. We're on the Brave main page. It's a little laggy, I guess, in stream, but the way you're going to get to our Mumble is you're going to log in. Hit the Mumble channel. It's going to ask you to log in with Eve Online. Hit that. It'll bring you to your login page. I have this remembered in Windows rather than in here because it'll just remember your username and you'll have to type in your password every time. Sign in. I always sign in as Marie, my main, and hit authorize. It takes usually about 5 minutes to 30 minutes once you're in the HiSec Corp or NullSec Corp to get into this. You might have to refresh your ESI. I've seen it take up to 24 hours though. That's just the usual time. And then once you're here, if you don't already have Mumble, download Mumble here and follow the steps that we did earlier to set up your whisper key, and then you can connect to Mumble. The second you hit this, it pulls up right here, Mumble. Can I drag it over? Oh, I can. Sweet. So it pulls up Mumble. Hi, I am in the spawn point, and I'll jump into Impasse for the cult. And essentially, if I hit my push to talk key, I talk to... Why did you go away? I talk to just myself. And you'll see that that little symbol is yellow. If you're talking to your entire channel, you'll notice I'm not going to talk when I do it, but you'll notice that my icon goes blue. Usually. I think I have to talk and actually do something with it. But when you start talking with the push to talk to everybody, then it starts turning blue, and people can hear everything you say. Yeah, fair enough. All right, and that's the basics of Mumble. If you have any questions, feel free to just ping me, and I'd be more than happy to help out if you have any questions. Now we're gonna go back to Eve.
Can I say something about Mumble real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry. If you do have any issues, generally speaking, what fixes it is going to joinus.bravecollective.com, make whatever character is your main, and then click the Brave Core, log in again, switch, select your character, authorize, and then click update ESI data. There will be little buttons that show up. Click that, and then try to get into Mumble again. That fixes the majority of Mumble issues, assuming you've been in the corp for more than, like he said, 30 minutes to a couple hours, or 5 to 30 minutes, I think, and then up to 24 hours.
Yeah.
But that fixes the majority of issues.
So, for those of you in here right now looking at the stream, I can share my screen into Corp meetings as well. Stream Eve Online. Go live. So if you wanted to watch that, if you're not watching the stream, you can see what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at the MOTD right now for everything. It shows you how to set up Mumble and Slack. There's a link to it in the stream. It has a link to our IMNM Discord. So if you're not already here and you're watching on stream and you don't have access to the Discord, just come in here, ping me, and we'll make sure. Yes, Guitar Fan jacked up. If you don't know what we're talking about, don't worry about it. You'll learn when you're older. Intel chats are here. Querius, Catch, and Impasse. We have a bookmarks folder for locations. I'm in Cheetah right now, so I don't have any other than my, I think, singular, safe warp. And then we have the Corp mining and ratting channels, which I'm in right now. Ratting channel has this helpful list right here. If you don't know what to target with what, this is pretty much the entire thing for what you need to know. There's more specifics, but it doesn't change much. Mining Mayhem tells you who has boosts, which is nice, and the different shoutouts that you can do. Alright, and then I have a fake Intel Querius for when I'm messing around with messages. Alright, so now let's move on to the next item on the docket. Different types of fits. I believe HiSec we're importing some of those fits slowly from the nullsec, but once you get into the nullsec, you'll see that there is a large amount of corporation fittings. We have, I'm not going to throw out a whole bunch of these because OPSEC and stuff, but we have a lot of different things. This is the fit that I run in my Jackdaw, if you were curious. But you need to be able to use fits. There's also a link inside of the Brave Collective wiki, which we will get to later on when I'm handing out the different resources that are available for you to check on your own. You just log in with Eve SSO, log into Brave, then you get access to the different ships and the doctrine fits. Usually they'll have skill levels for certain things. Yeah, the local here in Cheetah is a whole bunch of just chaos, but it'll give you skill plans for optimal fits, doctrine fits, minimal fits for different ships that we require if you want to get SRP. That's a big thing in Null. If you go to a strat-op, you don't necessarily want to lose the entire value of your ship, because that would make everyone not want to do them. So big corporations and big alliances like Brave offer SRP. So if you have a certain fit and you're flying and you get exploded by someone, they will You have to fill out a couple forms. I'm not super familiar with the SRP because I've only ever been blown up by friendlies, but you'll get SRP for that ship. Either they'll pay you back with the ship that you lost, or they will pay you back with the ISK. I think it's usually the ISK.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I thought so. How to make fits is next on my list. It's more of a, I'll point you to the right direction. Sirius Phoenix is one of the big guys out there who can help you make fits. One of the softwares that, if you don't have it already, it's called Pyfa, Pyfa. It is fantastic for making fits that will tell you if you're using, with what your skills are, what skills you'll need. You can check DPS based on skill level in certain things. If you don't have it already, try Pyfa out. It's fantastic. I'm not super familiar with it. I can use it, but I'm not the kind of person who will be able to tell you what the fit does, or rather, what the best fit for that is. I just know that this is the best fit for hauling with a jackdaw. I like taking ships and making them insta-warp. So basically, learn how to make fits in Pyfa and learn what your ship is capable of. Certain ships, I think Caldari ships are usually shield ships. Usually. Am I right on that night? I think they're shield ships.
Caldari are basically all shield ships.
Yeah, I thought so. Caldari is basically shield ships. I think Galenti is armor. Trigs are omni-tank. So just learn what your ship is good at, using Pyfa or using these stats right here. Pyfa gives you all the same things and a bit more as well. It gives you damage scenarios too, but Pyfa will help you learn a lot of those things.
So just to add on to that a little bit, when we say a ship is shield tanked or armor tanked, what that mostly refers to is the base stats of the ship are strongest for that particular type. So Caldari ships have lots of shield hit points and pretty strong shield resistances, but no armor. And in addition to that, they have lots of mid slots, which allows you to fit more of the defensive modules to protect yourself. Whereas Amar, for example, is the reverse. They have almost no shields, but lots of armor and lots of low slots, because the different types of tank equipment go in different slots. So that's how you're going to be able to start looking at the ships and go, oh, this wants to be armor tanked, this wants to be shield tanked.
Yes, thank you for that. Alright, so next up on the docket that I see is different types of classes that are available to you. IM&M, we are, I believe, starting our own kind of dojo classes similar to Brave Dojo. They're going up on the YouTube channel primarily. I don't know if we're planning on doing live classes, but I know we have guys that can do live classes for several different things. I know Sirius Phoenix did a Pyfa class about a month or two ago. I think it was about a month ago. Questionable has done Jump Freighter classes, and there's a whole bunch of different people that you can reach out to find more information about different classes. Brave Dojo is also one of those resources. I believe we have a Dojo Fleet Pings in the Discord. Brave Dojo has fantastic YouTube videos, and they do a fantastic job at teaching you everything you need to know about just about anything you would ever want to know about. So if you wanted to talk to somebody in Corp about it, just reach out and say, hey, I want to learn about this. Just do it in like the helping in Corp or mentorship area, and just be like, hey, I want to learn about this. And several people will either point you in the right direction or say, hey, I can help you with that. If you didn't want to learn from one of us, or you wanted to take a full class on it, a couple hour class, I think the longest dojo of class is like 6 hours. Brave Dojo does a fantastic job. Their videos on YouTube are really good. They help me learn a lot of stuff about Null and doing different things inside of Eve. Continuing on in what do you need to be ready for null? Interceptors. If you want to get into null, the big thing to do is to get into an interceptor. The main reason is that interceptors have the nice bonus of being able to not be bubbled. So I can fly an Ares. An Ares is an interceptor. Ares are unable to be warp disrupted inside of a bubble, and they're just really good little tackle ships. But this right here, whoop, immune to, no, go back. Immune to interdiction sphere launchers, warp disruption field generators, mobile small and medium large warp disruptors. This essentially means you can't get bubbled. You cannot get trapped by a warp bubble. Warp bubbles prevent you from warping in just about any ship except an interceptor. Ares, Crow, I'm not familiar with the Minmatar one, Stiletto, and the Amar is the Malediction. Those are all fantastic things to have in null, and they are one of the things you should almost instantly be training for once you get into null. It is massively handy to have a very fast ship that can't get targeted. One of the main things about an Ares that you should do, this is what an Ares looks like, by the way, didn't mean to click on that. One of the main things that you should do with an Ares is get it to be insta-warp. That's a term that you're going to hear being thrown around by anyone who does quick hauling or uses ships that have very fast align times. Essentially, insta-warp means a less than 2-second align time. This Jackdaw in propulsion mode has 1.77 second align time. Essentially, that's all mumbo jumbo for the server takes 1 second ticks. The first second from when you click a button from, like, let's say you just jumped into a system. The first second you're immune, and the second is when people can target you. It takes them a full second to target you, whether they have an insta-lock ship or not. It takes 1 second to lock you, because of the way server ticks work. That means if you can be warping away when they lock you, they can't do anything to you, because they take an extra amount of time to have to do anything to you. So insta-warp ship, essentially the basics of it is sub 2 second align, gets you away from everything. Especially in an interceptor. I will show the interceptor fit that I use because I use it for hauling. I call it the Zoomer. It's got a 1.81 second align time. With an afterburner on, it's got a 2.76, which means I have a 3 tick with it on, a 2 tick align time if it's off. Which most of the time you'll just be hitting warp or jump when you're running in one of these anyways. That's another thing. Don't use autopilot. If you're running around in nullsec, or you're running around in highsec as a nullsec character, don't use autopilot. It warps you 10k away from the gate, and that just is begging for people to pop you while you're doing something. Always hit warp to 0 or jump, or just straight dock. Don't let autopilot do weird things. And these are basics. We could get into the itty-bitties of targeting and different things like that, but this will be for another day. Next up, jump clones. If you don't know about them, this is the time to just kind of get a quick understanding. You can install jump clones. I can't do it in this station, but you'll see a little clone, little dude here. Usually it's here, sometimes it's where this reprocessing is, but it essentially means that you can jump from one place to another without having to fly your ship there. You can do it once per 24 hours, and you can have different jump clones installed in different places. You'll have implants installed in different clones that you can jump your consciousness between in and out. I have one in AQT, FWST. I didn't even realize that was still up. And ZTech 9. That's where my jump clones are. And then usually I have one over in Cheetah, but I am in my Cheetah clone. It means that you can just jump around from one place to the next. So let's say you're out mining and there is a rorqual that needs save. Well, you're most of the time going to form up from a different place than you're in 90% of the time, and if that rorqual really needs saving, they might ask you to jump down there. So you'll be in your pod, you'll have to right click, leave ship, and then hit jump. That's the big thing about clones. If you're going to self-destruct, to death clone. So if I right click death cloned, I would go back to, I think my home clone is ZTAC-N or PZMA or something like that. My home clone is in Pisma. So regardless of what you're going to do, if you're going to jump consciousness, you have to leave your ship and be inside of your pod. If you go to death clone yourself down, you will lose any installed implants. It's a big thing. If you didn't know about implants, this is a big time to kind of get an idea. If you use implants, which are just essentially things that allow you to do stuff faster, I have just the basic set in here. Cost about 50 mil in Cheetah. It's about the same price anywhere, but they give you a bonus. Basics give you a +3 bonus to all of your different stats. So these are normally 17, but with implants in, you get a +3 bonus to all of them. That's essentially what implants are. You get into more specifics as the higher you train cybernetics, and they give different bonuses, etc., etc. But if you death clone or blow up, your pod blows up with your implants in it, you will lose them. Then you have to go buy a new set, and nobody likes doing that. If you're going to jump clone somewhere, then your implants stay fine. Don't death clone with your implants in. Next on the list, Anziblexes. Know about Anziblexes. Anziblex jump gates are, if you look at a map and you see all this green spaghetti. All this green spaghetti is essentially Anziblex jump gates. They are the player version of CCP. You made the route too long, so we're going to shorten it. So let's say you're on your way from Catch to Impasse. There is one big Anziblex here. There's another Anziblex here that kind of brings you there. This one goes to AXDOT to E3 TAC SDZ or SDZ. Rather than jumping 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps, this Anziblex jump gate jumps you all the way there. There is a fee for jumping. It's not. The largest I've seen is like 17,000 ISK. It is not much. It just helps them pay for fuel and things like that to keep them running. But Anziblex jump gates, once you get into Null, they are super useful. Getting from Kebers, which used to be the old staging right here, getting from Kebers all the way down to Impasse is, I think, 31 jumps if you don't use Anziblex jump gates. With Anziblex jump gates, I think it's 9. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might be. I think it's 9 jumps to get into PZMA or just into Impasse in general.
26 to 9.
26 to 9. Okay. I think I'd go a different route usually because last time I checked it, I was in Canada region still. And a big thing about Null, the last thing that I'm gonna say about Null, is knowing risk management, having good risk management. The general premise for risk management is if you cannot afford to lose it, do not fly it. I've been burned by that. I think almost everyone in EVE has been burned by that at least once. And that's kind of when you learn the lesson. Sometimes you don't, but usually that's when people learn if you can't afford to lose it, don't be flying it, especially in Null, because somebody will see that shiny new toy of yours and they will want to blow it up just as bad as you want to fly it. Most times they'll win. I used to do, when Niarja was still a thing, I would do Niarja hauling. I would run through Niarja and transport, I think my final tally of transporting stuff through Niarja was close to 500 billion in ISK. It's all about risk management. You have to know how much you are willing to lose before you lose it. If you do something, you have to know that everything you do is pretty much lost. You invest 100 mil in a ship, you don't have that 100 mil anymore. You don't have that ship anymore. You have to treat it like every time you take that ship out is a, am I going to lose it yet? It's one of those things in Eve is that if I have a ship, it's not if that ship is going to blow up, it's when. So knowing when your ship will blow up is kind of one of those weird, like, you never really know when somebody's going to do something, but that's a part of that risk management of, do I take this out now while impasse is red? Probably not. Do I try and take out the shiny ship or the thing that I can't afford to lose when I don't have any friends around? Probably not. In high sec, it's a bit safer, so the guys that are in high sec, usually you can take a ship out and do different things. You can go mine on your own and all that. But the general premise in Null is if you get caught, you get blown up. I've had it happen where I turn my head, somebody warps in, blows me up, and I couldn't really do anything because I was in, I think, a retriever at the time. Couldn't do anything about it, got blown up. I lost 40 mil. And at the time when I lost that, it was devastating. It's like, I just lost all that money. Plus whatever I was mining. So that's one of those times where it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have brought that out. But at the end of the day, it's Eve. You just make that money back somehow. If you want to learn about fast hauling or more about risk management, I have an actual note set on risk management. Just hit me up and I can drop some knowledge on you. Now, into the next section of our meeting, we're going to go ahead and take a short, like, 1 or 2 questions before we move on to the next system, or next item on the docket. I believe Smoke Truck, that was something that they covered earlier. If you didn't catch it before, if you lock somebody, if you fight somebody, while you're tethered, you break tether. Okay, I'm looking in the court meetings discussion. I see Sarlacc. Are there limits to what size ships that you are allowed to bring through Anzablex jump gates? I think the only thing you can't gate is Titan, but I'm pretty sure people have gated Titans, so Knight?
Preferably don't. It costs quite a lot of fuel to, the bigger the ship is, the more fuel it costs. Plus, anything big enough, like, any capitals, jump freighters, shit like that, you can jump with a Sino rather than a jump gate. So don't use jump gates for anything massive, because you'll just pretty much immediately offline that Anzablex gate.
Yeah, you can bring anything, but if you have a jump drive of your own, don't use the Anzablex. And if you don't, think really hard about whether you want to bring your freighter through there and piss off everybody else when you empty the fuel bay.
Essentially, it's just because you can gate that doesn't mean you should gate that. Anything smaller than like an Orca, I think, is probably fine. Orcas, Dommies, subcaps mainly are safer to do so. Kind of question. Standards. Oh, okay. Inertia modifier directly impacts align times. Yes, it does. That's one of those things, Zen, that we'll get into if you're doing a fittings class, but inertia modifiers do affect it. I'd have to pull up the inertia mod for a bigger ship. Let's look at my Praxis Fit, my Mooney Tier 2.
Yeah, it's inertia mod and mass.
Yeah, mass is a big one. But this has a 0.06 inertia mod versus the Interceptor's 1.3. So essentially, either it multiplies how fast you can do something, or just cuts it immensely.
So just the way that it works is that essentially you take the mass times the inertial mod, and that generates a number that is used for determining your align time. So two ships with the same mass, the ship with the smaller inertial modifier will align faster.
Thank you. This is why we have Alana around.
I have a lot of free time and I like learning.
Once again, this is why we have Alana around. Alana's great. Let me check Twitch chat real quick. I don't see any real questions over in Twitch chat. Looks like we don't really have many questions right now, which is good. That either means people don't want to ask them, or we've been doing a pretty good job. All right, let me move to the next set of the notes. And this is going to be on how do I make money. Eve. Everybody wants to make money in Eve. So, the big thing about making money, this is a big thing that if you're going to do any sort of trading, any sort of contracts, or any sort of like buying between players, use contracts, please. We had a case of some guy a while back. I'm not going to drop his name because I don't want there to be a witch hunt, because he's a human being, but also he's a jerk. So if you really want to know his name, come to me later. But there was a scam going on where there was a guy saying, mine for X amount of time and you will get this. And that happened. People got screwed out of, I think the final tally was 1.6 bill. That's not an insignificant amount. That's a lot of money that people got screwed out of. And it happened because people did not get contracts. They did not contract him their ore. And he was not somebody who had built up a reputation of being reliable yet. So, no, it wasn't Bulwark. This guy is no longer in Corp. So, essentially, use contracts. If you're going to be hauling something, contract it to them. If you are going to move things between characters, contract. 90% of the time, contract. Don't trade. There's an easier paper trail to follow with contracts. If you're going to be buying something from somebody, contract it. Contract it with the price of the item. So, let's say you're going to sell something and you need a certain price for it. If you've agreed on that price, set the I will need X amount of money. I'll even do it right here to show everybody what I mean. Contracts. Let's go to create a contract. It will tell you what kind of contract you need, or what kind of contract you can do. You can do an auction, a courier, item exchange, and then you can put a assembled ship's item exchange. Auctions are usually for high-sec stuff where it goes to the highest bidder. Couriers are for transport. Personally, I don't care for them because you can't break up what's inside. I usually do item exchange and item exchange assembled ships when I'm moving stuff or when I'm giving stuff to people. Private contract saves you from having a large fee for moving large amounts of money. And then let's say I'm going to make a contract to Clove, my high-sec alt. Search by partial terms. It already knows. It's going to ask me, which one do you want? I want Clove. Let's say I'm going to trade the Jackdaw. I can't trade the Jackdaw. But let's just do this. If you're going to be selling something, I will receive X amount. Say 10 million was the price of it. If you're going to be moving stuff around, if you're going to be selling stuff to people, do this. It saves you from losing money if the person is potentially not trustworthy. It's not worth losing money. Just take the $10,000 or the 10,000 ISK hit. When I do this, there's a broker's fee of 10,000 ISK. Just take that 10,000 ISK hit. It's not anything big. Use these contracts. They will save you from being scammed. Speaking of scams, let's look at a Cheetah Scam.
Real quick before we move on to that, I do want to put in sort of a note on the advantage of doing the courier contracts, because the reason why you would want to use them is that a courier contract allows you to set a collateral value.
True,
And what
yeah,
that means is that if the person that you are contracting to steals your stuff, you will get, as an ISK payment, that collateral value from them. So if you're using someone like Marie, where they have an established reputation, you trust them, you've worked through them, and you know them, you can do an item exchange and trust that they will send it back to you when it's done. If, however, you are working with someone that you do not know, that you don't trust, or a random person, courier contracts are a way to protect you, to know that your stuff either will be delivered as promised, or they will pay you a whole bunch of ISK, whatever you set as a fair value. I like to use 10 to 15% above the Cheetah sell price, because I know that I can get that stuff back at that price.
Cool. Thank you for that. Let's look at a couple different Cheetah scams. So, these scams aren't just exclusive to Cheetah, they happen everywhere. But hypernodes are a scam in their own, but we're not going to talk about those today. Essentially, hypernodes are Eve's in-game betting. And it's not great to... Oh, there's a contract. Actually, that might not be a bad contract. But, I didn't take a look at that. That's fine, that Cheetah scam that I was looking at. The courier contract. If you're going to be doing contract at all... Come on. Cheetah. Where's that courier contract? Essentially, if you're going to be making a contract or accepting a contract from anyone, double check the values. Double check the value of different items. Here it is. That's actually not that bad. I'm trying to find that scam that I found. There are plenty of scams out there that say, hey, I will pay, you can get 400 million, but the collateral is 11 billion. All you have to do is take it from Cheetah to perimeter. One jump. The second you accept that, they will hunt you down. They will sit on the gate. And they will blow you up. They don't care. They just got paid out with 11 billion worth of collateral. So always check the different values inside of a contract. Make sure what you're buying is what's advertised and the price reflects that. Later on, I will drop the Eve Appraisal link, Eve Marketer. Double check values of things. You can get scammed really hard by just accepting a random contract. Hypernodes are cool. They're in their own way a scam. You can make a whole lot of money off of one if you're extremely lucky, but there are people that have been doing hypernet nodes for a long time and they know a lot. They know how to hedge their bets essentially.
There's also the double your ISK scams.
Oh yeah, about those. Those are stupid and fun. I saw one just a second ago. It's usually comes as there it is.
Essentially,
Lelu
they
Trader.
say, send me money, and I will double the money that you sent me. They will not send you the money back.
They will not. It looks like this. No hidden rules, no bull. Convo me and you'll get your ISK right away. It's hard to see the flashes. 50 to 100 mil, you get 5 times back. 100, I almost want to do it just to show people that it doesn't work. Sure, I'll blow 50 mil on this person. So, let's do it. Wondering how I get all the ISK? I use my wealth for several markets here between Cheetah and Bar. Yeah, whatever. Every time I reach a decent bill, yeah. They're just essentially trying to make you feel like you're not going to lose your money. And so, you're just going to right-click, and they just want you to send money to them. Let me find them here. Right-click, give money. Lelu Trader. And we'll go to bio. Send
Don't
me
actually
this.
finish it.
I kind of want to prove a point. But it's essentially just a big scam. You send the money, you can say whatever you want, you right click, you convo them, and yeah, they're not going to send that money back. I'm pretty sure if I convo them, then they will just be like, hey, no, I'm going to give you your money back because I want my scam to keep going. That's why most of the time this is a 100% scam. 100% of the time this is a 100% scam. And
the other one that's a classic is the price change. They tell you that it's selling for 5 million, but it's actually for 5 billion because they trust that you're not going to check the number of zeros, or they say that they're selling 500 and they're actually selling 1. So
yes.
Always check the quantities. Those are definitely the easier ones to get caught by. So they're the ones you want to really look out for.
And with those ones, they'll throw 3 or 4 contracts up where 2 of them will be legit. So the first 2 people click and they go, oh, okay, 1, 2, yeah, that's great. They're fine. And then the next 2 will be their scams. And then that's how they'll get people, because people won't look at the other 2. They'll just see the first one and be like, yep, great, works, let's do it. And then they'll get caught by the second one.
Actually, here's, if I can keep the thing from going. Lelu Trader, the guy who had just said, 60 million ISK received, 300 million ISK sent. Nice guy who reads the rules. He's been posting that over and over again, hoping that if you right-click and you read that the different values, you're gonna feel like he's trustworthy. These are not trustworthy people. This is an example of a actually good contract. I don't think this is a bad price for one of these repeating cannon blueprints. But it's cheap. $500,000. The good contracts do exist. Good contracts do exist. They just don't look in general chat or local chat for them. Usually if you're going to be getting a contract, the person selling it will know, won't advertise it, or they will assign it directly to you. So that's that rant over. Now we'll get into the different ways that you can make money. This is going to be mainly a rapid fire list of the different ways you can. I'm not super familiar in all of them, but there are people that are. I just know there are a lot of ways that you can make money in EVE that fit to just about every playstyle. I'm going to list them out, and then I will go through them individually, like I'll spend a minute or 2 on them. But essentially, the rapid fire list is you can do mining, you can do ratting, you can do hauling, You can do exploration, industry, planetary interactions, PvP, and I think that's the main list. I think there are subsections. Alana, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there are subsections of those, but those are the main 7.
Sorry, I was posting stuff to Intel. What was the question?
It's essentially just the main ways of making money: mining, ratting, hauling, exploration, industry, planetary interaction, and PvP. There are subsections, but those are the main 7.
Incursion.
Yeah.
Oh, incursions.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure I would even say that there's that many of them, because a lot of those are kind of sub activities within the broader header.
True. Essentially, I'll run down top to bottom. Mining, it's mining. Yeah, you can mine yourself and reprocess the materials yourself and do all that. Usually, it's cheaper to, if you're going to be mining a whole bunch, just compress it and send it off to somebody who has good refining skills, or just sell it to somebody. Mining can make you money. I think in nullsec you can make, I think it's like 60 mil in 3 hours. Kind of. I don't know how it is with the new war changes.
Yeah, so mining has had some. It's having a rough time right now. What I will say is that if you are interested in doing mining, the reprocessing services provided by the Alliance are well worth your time rather than investing in it and reprocessing it yourself. There are people who, for 2% of your ore, will take your yield from 55, maybe 60% to 89%, and that is well worth using those services. If you are interested in mining, we're going to talk about what rocks are worth it right now, because the recent ore changes have hit nullsec much harder than anywhere else. So there are a limited number of rocks that are worth your time right now.
Yeah, this is, I just pulled up one of the example scams that Jonathan put up for us. 1.25 bill. It says 500 plex in the name. It's 1 plex in the contract. Prices is still the same. That's the price for that's the current price for 500 plex. It's got a 1 plex thing on it. You're gonna end up doing a whole bunch of bad stuff if you don't check quantities. It's a good one. Thank you for that, Jonathan. Ratting, null and high sec ratting. Null, of course, gets you more. Ratting is, you can rat sites, you can do incursions, you can do Abyssal Sites. There are a whole bunch of different ways to rat, but the main premise for the large amount of ratting that people do, or the main part of ratting that people do, is bounties. You go into a site in nullsec. Let me switch to Clove, because she's in PZMA, and I can kind of show you what the combat sites look like as far as on the thing. What was that?
He's very busy right now.
What was that?
Yeah,
He's
there's a gang in Pismo right now.
Okay. I mean, I will just go out in my pod. I'm not even gonna go out and go to each site. I'm just gonna pull it up on the other.
That's fine. Yeah, just for people who've been focused on this, there's currently a 15-person gang running around through our main area in PZMA.
Yeah, so like if you're kind of seeing, there are 3 neutrals in PZMA, and we know that they are not friendly because they are not blue or purple or green. That's the nice thing about Null, is if they're neutral, they are here to hurt you. But essentially what the different sites are, you'll see different ratting sites that all have this little diamond looking thing that says combat site, and the little ratting channel has more information, but essentially different ratting sites have different levels of difficulty and different amounts of things that spawn, And the way you make your money through those sites is primarily the bounties. You blow something up, you get a bounty for it. You can drop a mobile tractor unit MTU and salvage those afterwards, but the main thing that people like to do is just go out, blow a bunch of stuff up, make the money, and go back in. I think I make, with my 2 accounts ratting at once, I make about 25 to 28 mil ticks. A tick is just an amount of time that passes between when you get paid. I think it's 20 minutes.
20 minutes from the moment you kill. Alana, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's from the moment you kill the first guy.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So 20 minutes.
So your first tick is likely to be your smallest, and your last tick will definitely be your smallest because you probably didn't kill something at exactly the 20-minute mark.
Yeah. So essentially, a tick, when we say a tick, it's like every 20 minutes or so your average what you get. I get two ratting ships. I get about 28 mil ticks. I'll do 5 sites, and then I will go and clean up those sites. After 5 sites and cleaning it up, I think I make around 160 to 180 mil ish.
Now, end game, then you can jump in here with Dreadnought ratting.
Yeah, so at the moment anyway, not including the upcoming ratting changes. Dread ratting, I know it's possible to get more than what I'm getting, but usually what I get every 20 minutes is roughly 75 mil. So I mean it goes up quite a lot, and even carrier ratting just on one account. I think the ticks are about 35 mil. But then I can't attest to like super carrier ratting, but I've heard those are enormous ticks. But that's the end game of ratting. It'll take you a while to get there, and I mean the fits are like 3 or 4 bill. So obviously, like Maria said before, if you can't afford to lose it, don't take it out. That is an expensive fit. So definitely on the end game side for those.
Yep.
And I'm not quite that dedicated on it, but I will echo. Marie's numbers are pretty representative. I've actually been sitting here ratting for most of this meeting because it doesn't take a whole lot of attention, and I'm averaging 14 million every 2 hours or every 20 minutes for as long as I keep going. So you can get, even in just a cruiser that pretty much actually an alpha can sit in, you can be getting 35 to 40 million an hour just sitting there doing stuff in your ship by yourself.
All right. There are also Abyssal Sites, which we won't go into much, and incursions. Incursions, you just join a fleet of people, you go blow stuff up. And with Abyssal Sites, it's you take a filament.
Abyssal,
go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. For Abyssals, you're going to talk to Van. We also have Van. I don't know if he started to or not, but we're posting YouTube videos on the Industrial Mining and Mayhem YouTube channel. We've done T4 and T5 for sure. I'm not sure if beginner tiers have been posted or not, but that is also another good place to go. And once again, ask Van Dorian because he's the resident Mayhem expert on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Van will be able to tell you damage types and all that kind of stuff. I think the basic understanding you can grab from the Eve University site. They have a good basic oh this means this means this, and then if you're interested in running Abyssals and actually running them, I would talk to Van. He can share fits with you and that kind of stuff. They take 20 minutes to complete. You have a 20-minute cap. You cannot exceed 20 minutes. So the ticks aren't. I don't think you get bounties from them.
No,
but the main loot. Yeah, the main loot is the loot that you blow up in caches, and That's another discussion for another time because I know that conversation can get very long.
It can,
will.
but
It will get very long.
to put it into perspective, if you are interested in Abyssals, take a look, see if see if it interests you. Knight was right. We only have T4 and 5 videos up on our YouTube right now. But to put it into perspective with ratting, a consistent T5 runner, which is in the videos, makes about 70 to 75 million per Abyssal, and that's about every 15 minutes in loot.
Those ships are not starting level or starting entry friendly.
Oh god, no. That's that's also like a 4 bill fit.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to give folks a perspective of my ship is 300 million, and I'm doing 30 to 40 an hour. In smaller ships, you can expect to get more in the 20 to 25 an hour. So even if you are not someone like those of us here who have millions of skill points and billions of ISK in our ships, you can still make pretty consistent and good money doing those activities.
Yes.
Yeah, and that goes for Abyssals as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, T5s is also the end game of Abyssals. But if you're looking for T3s, T4s, we have fits that are 500 mil or less for those as well, if that if that's something that interests you.
And I do want to loop back to mining briefly, because I was very negative about mining in nullsec. Mining in highsec, on the other hand, is actually quite profitable compared to the other things you can do.
Yes.
Veltbar right now is more valuable than any of the rocks out in nullsec, and you can pull in quite a bit of ISK doing that, and those of us down in the nullsec group will happily buy them from you, jump them down, and build stuff to blow up all day long.
Yes. So high-sec mining is relatively much more profitable in high-sec than ratting or other things like that. So if you want to just stay mining in high-sec, by all means, please. We need minerals. I need things to build to buy ships from digital.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying. I have a half a billion in rocks that I will be jumping down in the next couple of days, and after I do that, I'll be looking to do more. So there's lots of people interested in high-sec minerals.
Yes, and I see people might be answering that. We'll answer that question in a second. Next on my list I have is hauling. There is a very, as somebody who started hauling thinking I could make a decent profit consistently, through Niarja maybe, but there is a poor return of investment, ROI, for hauling. If you're a jump freighter pilot, I've spoken to Questionable a few times. You don't jump into a jump freighter to make money. You can. I'm not saying it's not possible, but to offset the costs, make it actually profitable and useful. No, you don't get into hauling for that. I do Cheetah Uber Eats, where essentially people throw an order at me, and if it's within the amount of M3 that I can do, I will buy it and run down as fast as I can get it there. When I used to do Niarja, it was literally 30 minutes. Like, I could make the run if I had everything bought in 30 minutes. Alright, see you, Vera. This will be uploaded to the YouTube channel. But if I'm taking bigger stuff, like in this Iteron Mark V here, that I have fit to never get caught in high sec, because no, it's got, for an Iteron, a decent align time, and it's got stabs out the wazoo. But for high sec hauling and stuff like that, I'll use an Iteron and my alt. Otherwise, I will use Marie and a Instawarp Jackdaw to go anywhere. Anywhere in high sec. There's a poor return on investment because a lot of times if you're doing what I do, you can lose a lot more than you make. Collateral is a thing, and I would hate to be the guy that loses a whole bunch of money that I don't have. I tend to invest things pretty quickly back into other things. Like, I recently made about a bill in my wallet, a bill and a half, and I dumped it all into Aguila. Money goes fast. So building up a reputation, having things like that is important, and the risk in hauling is very high compared to the reward. Next on that list is exploration. Exploration.
Yeah, well, I can actually chip in a little bit on the hauling from the larger volume scale as well, just so that folks understand. Planning to do it yourself will get very expensive, and you are going to take a long time to get a return on the investments that it takes to do those things. A jump freighter is 10 billion ISK. A really, really good run, you make 20 to 30 million in profits after you account for your fuel and everything else. So don't get into hauling because you are planning to make a bunch of ISK. However, the Alliance has lots of people who are already hauling for other reasons and will be happy to take your stuff at a much lower price. So we have the freight services through Brave Little Toaster and through the Brave Buyback group, along with Marie's Uber Eats from Cheetah. So if you need something moved, reach out to one of us. It won't be free because topes are expensive, yo. But we can get your stuff down here for a lot less than you buying a 10 billion freighter, 3 Sino alts, and training them.
Yes. Thank you.
So don't be afraid to use those services.
Yes, they're available to you, and there's a reason that they exist. Next on that list is exploration. Essentially similar to this, similar to combat sites, they show up on your probe scanner. You have to scan them down, and I don't have any here, and I don't want to risk losing this high-sec ship right now. But you essentially go into a place. You can do it in high-sec or null-sec. Null-sec's where the money's at, though. You have a relic scanner and a data scanner, and you scan down sites that are red with your probe scanner. And the art of probe scanning is not difficult, but I'm not going to get into it now. Essentially, you scan down the site. If it's a data or a relic site, you jump in, you play Minesweeper for a little bit, you loot the caches, and you get out. You fail twice on the caches blow up. The lower security systems you go, the harder they get. And there, I believe, is a chance for drones or rats to spawn, but that's very few and far between. And from my understanding, data sites are the ones you don't want to do comparative to relic sites, but they still can make money.
Yeah, so there are different types of sites, and even in nullsec, most of them will not spawn any enemies at all. It is only very specific types of sites which you'll be able to see.
Yeah, I need to do something real quick.
You'll be able to see from the name ahead of time whether or not something can spawn there. They're going to be called covert, or they're going to have some other modifier in front of the site name. The reason why people do relic sites over data sites is specific to catch. So catch is one of the regions that Brave operates in, and the relic sites in catch can spawn intact armor plates, which are ludicrously valuable, and thus they are sites that can be worth 100 million per can. Compared to a catch relic site, a data site is merely 30 to 40 million for the site instead of 100 to 150 million. If you are doing your work in Impasse, which has less valuable sites but much, much less competition, you won't get those big 100 million jackpot sites. But you're going to be able to consistently find 20 to 30 million for the sites that are there, and you can crank through them much more rapidly because there aren't everyone in the whole frickin' game competing for them.
Yeah, so I've found sites to be interesting to do. The best ship for them is the Sisters of Eve frigate. I, for whatever reason, cannot remember the name of it because brain farts. Um,
Astero.
yes, the Astero. Astero is the best ship for it. It's quick. It's easy to fly. It gives bonuses to it. I found that I made in the past about 50 to 60 mil an hour, um, if I was lucky. Last time I did it was in Aquarius before Brave moved in. I was stealing sites from the goons, and I was making about 50 to 60 an hour.
Yeah, so exploration is what I'm going to say very spiky. You're going to find a good site and pull in 100 million, and then for the next 30 minutes, you're not going to find anything. Or you'll find 4 sites in a row, but they're all going to be worth 5 million. So exploration is very random. If you do enough of it long enough, you will average out those sort of peaks and valleys. But if you're someone that wants to know, when I sit down, I'm going to make this much, exploration isn't for you. But if you're someone with a very low sort of entry skill level, you can be in an Astero in a day, I think. It might
Yeah.
take more like 12 hours. And once you do that, you can be pulling in hundreds of millions a day from doing those sites if you are thorough with them. So it's a great place to start as someone that doesn't have a lot of skill points or a lot of ISK to invest.
Yes. I think the Astero, like an Astero fitted, is like 60 mil.
It's more than that, but so a fitted Astero is more like 150. The
gone
scanning
up.
frigates, like a Heron, you can be in one of those for under 10.
Yeah, I think I got into when I first doing it. I was doing an Imicus that was worth about, I think, like a mil.
Yeah, they're super, super cheap, and that Imicus can make 50 mil from a site.
One thing I think would be worth if you know you are interested in Explo. One thing that's really helpful is just go to YouTube, type in Eve Explo rule of 6. It helps fail less at hacking the sites.
Yes. We're gonna move on to industry. Industry, I'm not the most familiar with, but essentially you build ships and things like that. I'll let somebody else take the floor for this one because I'm not the most into industry.
Sure, I can handle this. So, the way that I describe industry is how you take some ISK and make it into more ISK. So, it is a multiplier effect. You buy a subset of materials, build the thing out of those materials, and sell whatever you built for more than you spent to build it. It is not a thing that will generate ISK from nothing. There is a certain amount that you're going to want to put into it to get started, but once you find good value items, you can take your 100 million and over the course of a week, for very little time and effort in game, turn it into 200 million. And then you turn the 200 into 5, and then the 5 into a billion, and so on and so forth as you go through those industry cycles. So when you start looking at industry, it is about the research that you put into it outside of the game. Industry benefits more than anything else from doing a lot of reading and research to find good items to build ahead of time. the amount of time you spend actually in game, I process a couple billion a day, and it takes me about 10 minutes. So it is something where very little in-game time is spent on it, but I spend many hours outside of the game finding good things to build and working through that process ahead of time. So if you're interested in industry, I can talk about it a lot more. There's a lot of tools and resources available. Personally, I am a huge fan of the Lazy Blacksmith because it's a really quick, one-stop place to do a quick check for, do I want to build this? Is it worth anything?
All
And
right.
that's my 2-minute spiel on industry. And I say that because getting deep into industry, you will wind up programming your own spreadsheets. And I do mean that as programming, not just writing and sort of doing simple things. So it's a very deep rabbit hole for people who like doing lots of analysis and thinking outside of the game, for folks that have very little playtime inside the game. And it can be done with a very low barrier to entry.
Yep. All right. Last two on this list. I feel like Planetary Interaction is kind of a subsection of indie, but essentially, it has a very similar approach to what Alana was just talking about. I am in the process of setting up PI. I'm learning a lot about it, but I don't feel like I am the best to talk about it. But essentially, it is you set up things, you set up extractors on planets, you pull those, you go to a factory planet, you make things on that planet, and then you haul those and sell stuff or use them for industry. Van, do you know more about it, or is this another Alana question?
I don't know anything about that.
So the way that I think about PI is, it is the thing that you do. Well, I'll come back to this and approach it from a different perspective. The best thing about PI is that you can set it up, spend 2 hours on it today, and it will make you money having done absolutely nothing a week from now. You want to set up your planets to bring in extractions in such a way that you spend very little time on it, because you can be pulling in 30 million a day for about 5 minutes of clicking and about 20 minutes of hauling once a week. If you are spending more than 5 to 10 minutes a day on your planets, you're probably doing it wrong and trying too hard, and that time is better spent doing something else. But 5 minutes for 30 million is 360 million an hour as far as actual effort. You just have to be patient on when you're going to get paid out for it, and it's not something that you can scale up very easily.
Brexis is somebody that you can reach out to. He's one of our nullset guys. If you wanted to learn more about PI, I don't want to go too much more into that. We've kind of spent a lot of time on the exploration and specifics of the others. But if you want somebody that knows a lot about PI, Brexis is one of those. I think Digital End knows, or Digital Echo and whatever he likes to be called. Digital knows a lot about it. Alana knows a lot about it, and they could talk to you about the specifics of PI. And then finally on the list is PvP, kinda. It's kind of like ratting, but not really. And the specifics of it, you won't make money doing PvP. If you catch somebody, like let's say we had somebody get caught out here, you could potentially loot them, but they're not usually in much, it's not consistent, And if you're in a fleet, a strat-op or something like that, chances are you're not going to be the person that gets to loot it, because there are people that strictly just come in and loot after big fights. I know the Keep Star drops that we did in Delve, people came in with salvage rorquals just to come in and clean up all the stuff that was left on field and didn't despawn already. So you can kind of make PvP. I think you can make PvP off of bounty, or make money off of bounties, but it's not a reliable or good source of income. It's more of a, I want to go blow stuff up, so let's do that. And actually, we've reached the final two sections for the evening. Helpful resources that I have on hand. And then we'll go into the open floor for questions, answer all the questions we can. And I'll talk a little bit, I don't know if I will, but essentially helpful resources, things that you should know about in-game and out of game. First on that list is Eve Praisal. If you don't have it bookmarked already, Eve Praisal is fantastic. It helps you get an idea of how much a list of things is worth. It tells you how much, what you need to have your copy list as, or copy list in. Let me pull up Eve Praisal real quick. Link it real quick into the discussions chat. Eve Praisal. You essentially copy and paste a list of inventory items in the detail view into Eve Praisal, and it'll tell you how much it's worth, G to buy, G to sell, per item. Let me go ahead and dock, and I'll show that. It's nice to have. Eve Praisal is fantastic. I love it. It makes estimating costs really nice. It's not always 100% accurate, but it is very, very close. So let's go to my item hanger. I'm in my HiSec alt. So I don't have anything in here currently, but you can go to your ship hanger, put it in detail view, this copy, put it in Eve Praisal. It'll tell you how much that ship is worth. Not with fittings, of course, but how much that hull is. So have Eve Praisal bookmarked. It's fantastic to have. Pyfa. Mentioned it earlier, it's for making fits. It's a fantastic little software that just makes making for ships easy. You just drag and drop stuff into it. It'll tell you if you can fly it for your skill level. You can change skills to see what skills give you certain bonuses. If you want to make a certain amount of DPS with this ship, what combinations. It's just easy to mess around. You don't have to sit in game and do it. Easy to copy fittings, import fittings. You can copy them from your clipboard into here, into a buy all or into a buy order. It's a nice tool to have. It's free to download. Python. Evemon is one of those things that was mentioned to me. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know if it's being updated still, Evemon.
It sort of is. So Evemon is a way to do your sort of character and skill planning outside of the game.
Yeah. I think you can kind of do it in Python with copying skill plan over for like a ship that you need. Evemon just got an update. Awesome. Okay. So it is being updated still. I couldn't remember if it was still getting updated. Another thing that if you're playing Eve